Hello, this is R Rats with Team 4545 League, analyzing the game between Cow Cow and Slime Dog 2. This is played in the last round, the tiebreak round of Team 52 playoffs. The match score is 1.5 apiece. I believe that Black has draw odds here because White's team has more forfeits. So White needs to win for his team to win, and Black needs to draw for his team to win. Should make for some interesting chess. Let's have a look. Okay. Wow, King's Gambit. Good way to play for a win when you need a win. Okay, accepted. Now, I don't know all the theory. I do know there was an article on the ChessBase website. Apparently, they have proven Bobby Fischer correct when he said back in the round 1962 that the King's Gambit was busted, and they've done it with an exhaustive computer essay. And they've said that only 3 Bishop E2 draws the game. Every other move loses, and it's backed up by tons and tons and tons of analysis, so we won't get into that, but that's just a computer could win it, but apparently it's busted. So I don't know anything about H6. Anyway, D4 looks logical, and this kind of setup of the pawn chain H6, G5, F4 comes up a lot in the King's Gambit. I know there's some variations where White will even sacrifice the knight on G5 just to clear H5 so the queen can get there in a hurry. Probably this isn't one of them, but I've seen positions like that. I think that happens in the line where the black pawn is on F6 because if the H pawn is taking on G5, the black rook controls H5, so it has to be F takes G5. But we won't get into that. I've just seen all kinds of things in this. And I guess we're close to I think it's the Muzio Gambit. If White or Black plays Bishop G4, I'm sorry, pawn G4, White can play Bishop C4, and then if takes, and Queen takes, if takes on F3, something like that. Probably not exactly in the Muzio, but I don't know. Okay, now what does White do here? There's so many complications. I'm not going to even try to decipher this for a book line. I would never play this as Black. I would never play this as White, but there are points to be had if you're willing to burn the midnight oil and work these things out. So let's see. Okay, makes sense. C3 was a possibility, just bolster up the center. Okay, so what happens here is kingside castling is now out of the question for both sides. So both sides really need to stop and think about castling on the queen side. But if you look at the position, both sides have their queen side. Whoops, I missed on that. A little drunk. No, actually, I have nothing to drink. Okay, both sides have completely undeveloped queen sides, and there's only really one piece developed, maybe two. You could argue the bishop on H8 is developed because it did go to G7. It's still operating on the same diagonal. So both pieces have sides have one piece developed. It's White's move. How does he continue? He could develop a piece. That's the first thing I would think of. I'd think of Bishop C4. I'd also think about Knight C3 with the express purpose of trying to get castled. But the White bishop on C1 doesn't have a lot of scope, so maybe that explains White's next move, G3. And if you look at the clocks, apparently it's still booked. Slime Dog has got all his time plus an extra 4.5 minutes. And Cacao is moving at about 45 seconds a move. So, but I think as I recall, Slime Dog took a while on this move, and I don't know if he played the best move or not. But it's an interesting move. And then another long think. Now, as a result of what's happened, now we've got some tactics. Now, one drawback with these last two moves by Black is he hasn't developed anything. And meanwhile, White has developed something, his queen, and the queen has a threat. The queen's threatening to take the knight. So how does Black get out of this? Candidate moves, King F8. Well, that could be a little risky because then the king can never castle. But you're going to get some help over there for him to keep him defended. I guess that's the idea. knight e7, knight f6, or other candidate moves. You got to watch that knight. Okay, knight f6. And I don't know if this is the best move. The players can tell us if they participate. But now white's restored his material equality and safeguarded his knight, which black wasn't threatening to take, by the way. White had too many strong threats. Pause the video and look at it. Or go, anyway. Black needs some development, so at some point d5 needs to be seriously considered. If d5, if white pushes by e4, black can sink the knight in on e4, and if need be, trade it. But at least it opens up the diagonal for the bishop to get in the game. So let's see if he plays d5 here. No, he took the pawn. Well, black's a pawn up. If he can hold it, he's headed for the draw he needs. I didn't play the game. I didn't calculate everything. Let's see how white responds. Okay, check. Now, one nice thing about that knight on e4 is it stops this check. So black has basically abandoned all hope of castling because he's allowed this line. Let's just go back, see if he might have even tried. He didn't have to take that pawn. We could play, well, you know, black can still be forced not to castle. e5, knight e4, and then there's that check. So it might be that it's kind of beyond black's control now to avoid that. The only other alternative would have been to maybe play knight into e7 a couple moves back, then play d5, and then got the bishop out, the other knight out, the queen out, and then castle, if it could be done. But of course, if white's going to try to castle and get his pieces in the center to get at black's king while he's still in the center, maybe black has time to do it. I don't know. See what the players have to say. So let's get into the main position. Okay, knight takes. Now this is an interesting move. It attacks the knight and avoids a queen trade. I guess most importantly, if white's going to win this, he needs the queen on the board, and he can't go into an ending or late middle game down a pawn, can he? Okay, so finally there's d5, which we needed to play. Okay, now this is good, I think, because it starts putting pressure on black defending this diagonal of h4 to d8. So the knight's holding that now, so right now it's under attack, and if black plays knight takes e3, white may just be able to come in with bishop g5 check right away. So black's going to have to deal with that. Let's see what he does. And he brings the knight back. Okay, that's good, but maybe that knight's wasted some time. It went and won a pawn, but look at the price. White is getting developed now, and the black queen side isn't. See? Remember when I showed those arrows earlier? Now it's down to white only needing 2 more men to come out, and black still playing catch-up. So, a little risky on white's part, but hey, if you hold the pawn, you're going to draw the match. And now, this is a good square for the bishop because it has that valuable pin, and I'm really going to start thinking defensively here. What's black going to do here? The first strategy for candidate moves I'd consider moves like knight bd7. Ooh, we got this new trick here. That's going to if knight bd7, there's knight takes d5 check, and we got to analyze our way out of that. That could be risky. We could get away with it. It's almost like what black needs to do is play c6 and run that king as quick as we can. And you're just not going to be able to develop the queen side for a while. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now bishop e6. It does have the advantage of blocking the e-file for what it's worth. It does prepare the king, I guess, if it has to run to c8, if anything. And we can worry about getting the rook into play later. But now white castles. So yeah. Now maybe here is where the king just needed to go to d7. The idea is there you're going to hop him back to c8 really quickly. Just get him out of there. So the problem with this, well, maybe it's got ideas. Bring the queen over to g8 or f8, and then back the king up that way. This rook can come into play much later, as long as black can hold it. At least he's got a bunch of pieces around his king, so his king isn't totally exposed here. The question is, what can white generate? He's almost completely developed now. The only piece that hasn't come out is the white bishop on f1. The knight on h2 is a little out of play, but he'll get there. Okay, so rook e1. Now there's all kinds of pins here. So white's threatening to take on d5, and neither piece can take back. So maybe this is where black needs to play c6. I don't know. See what happens. Queen g8. Yeah, there it is. Knight takes. So either go to d8 or d6. I'm not going to calculate everything out because I'm down to about 4 minutes. Okay, this does seem riskier. I assume there was something wrong with d8. The players can explain it to us because there's a check right there right away. Almost worth looking at. What are we missing? Why can't black do this? Oh, wait. His queen hangs. There's a pin. That's why he can't go to d8. Okay. Check. Ouch. Okay. If black can survive this, he's definitely going to win because he's picking up some wood, but that king is awful exposed. There's all kinds of checks on the board for white. Bishop g2, c4, even bring the queen back to d3, maybe work something out from there. Wow. Okay, so c4 check. If anything, well, I can always play this. Well, maybe not. You don't want to trade queens. You got to deal with that at some point. He did it. Okay, that's fine. I guess it was risky to take. Okay. Now, how do we save that king? I don't know. You know, you objectively you might want to play a6 or a5 to make a square, but queen f2 or bishop e3 check. Just get on the diagonal and let you ride in. Keep him from going back. But he tried a6. What else? Yeah, there's queen f2 check. Now you could try c5, I suppose, but then there's an en passant capture. Knight c5 just seems to walk into pins with b4 or bishop e3. This is gruesome. Yeah, c5, okay. Only chance, but that en passant capture's got to be coming next. Yep, there it is. And you know, the black king just doesn't have any squares. He can't go back. 2 of them are covered by his own men, and the third is covered by a piece. So there's got to be a checkmate here. They're using their time, so I'm sure they're finding the best moves, both offensively and defensively. Ouch. Oh, and he has to throw the piece with check. Oh, bad. This is bad. I mean, there's got to be a checkmate in here, and maybe even one was missed. I don't know. Check. And wow, he's got to go even further forward. I can go to a5, I guess. Yeah, he does. Then there's that check, and it says here black resigns. Well, what happens? He can't go back, can't go there. Okay, he goes here. Pawn is no, that's not mate. Oh wait, this is mate. Yeah. Was there any other way to avoid it? So I don't know. What happened here? It has to be somewhere. Where did black really go wrong? It has to be somewhere between move 8 and move 11. That's where he took the risky strategy of taking on e4. So 11 knight takes e4 may be the mistake. After that, not trying to get c6 in quicker, maybe 15 bishop e6 was a mistake, like I was saying, c6 and try and run that king. Terrific game by white. You have to admire black for allowing this and taking the risk to do this. This is a game both sides can say, well, at least I tried, because certainly black did try, and his strategy is if my opponent can't conduct an attack like this, I'm going to hold the draw, and I'm going to win the match for my team. So just because black lost this way is no slur on his game. It just white picked this day to play the game of his life. So both sides are to be congratulated for making it this far, giving us a very exciting match once again. And I wish to thank everybody for their time, and we'll see you all again in Team 53. Bye now.